Hey you guys, happy Sunday, and I'm going to bring on a guest today, so hold on a second. I thought I invited her already, but now I cannot see that I invited her. Irma Mast is going to come on with me. Oh, I see people joining in, tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have to wait a little bit until Irma comes on, I think. Irma, can you see me or hear me? Anyway, I'm Dena Schrock, and if you watched my video last and recording, alright, this technology is like changing all the time. Okay, there she is. I'm going to see if I can add her now. There you are. Okay. It's adding. So hopefully you get it. We have had some technical difficulties the last while. With Rebecca Hope, I wanted her on one day and then we weren't able to get on. So, hey Irma.
Hey, there you are.
Yes.
It says I have to switch mine around. Like I had it the other way, so now I'm looking at a different place.
Oh, yeah. Lay the phone down this way.
Yeah, I had it all set up the other way.
Yeah. All right. I didn't want you. If you put it the other way, I think you would go in this little box up top where we wouldn't be equal size. So I thought this was better.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for coming on with me. And I want to talk a bit about you. I've just, I tell my story and how I grew up, and it's so different from the old order Amish. And so you go ahead. You grew up in the old order Amish church, right?
Right, yes. And thank you for having me. I've watched your lives a lot, and I'm like, it's interesting to me because it's like you have a different world. You grew up in a completely different world than I did. And I'm like, wow, like it blows my mind. And I thought I get questions all the time because people think the most they know is about sports and true Amish, and then so they assume things, and I'm like, not how I grew up with. And so I thought, well, I'll just have to join you sometime. I'm an introvert, and going live isn't always easy for me, so this is really stretching.
Yay! Good. I love seeing people step out of their comfort zones, and I do it all the time. It's not comfortable for me either. I mean, Facebook Live is not that hard for me anymore, but speaking in front of a group, that is like, whew, I feel like my face gets all red sometimes. So
Yeah,
no, I'm
me a lot, and I've stepped it out
yeah.
a lot too. So yeah, yeah. So I grew up what is known as like the Holmes County Amish, which is there are like 12 different kinds of churches in the Holmes County. So, but it's more. I would say that like the old order are the ones that are the most in Holmes County, like the more, um, probably
The bigger.
the most liberal that they're around. Um, and I left. January will be 5 years, so that's I feel like it's sometimes it seems long and sometimes it's like no way that it's that long. um, yeah, so you could just ask questions or
Yeah. So you left. Did you join church before you left, or you left before church?
in church. I was a member for three 3 years, between 3 and 4 years when I left. So yes, I was a member too.
Okay, so do they then shun you, or did they shun you when you left? And do they shun you if they did back then?
Yeah, so I kind of take shunning and excommunication separately, kind of because I'm excommunicated, like they would vote in church and excommunicate me, so I wouldn't be able to have communion with them. but they don't shun me as in I can't visit, I can't. Some people eat with me, some people don't. Some people don't. Some people eat family style. Some people eat just cafeteria. Some people think it's I can't scoop my own food out. Um, so it just varies. It varies within my own family. I have been to my home church since I left. For my sister's baptismal service, I went back and they invited me to the table. So yeah, it's I would say 75% of people don't make any difference. Um, but there's a wide variety of color.
Yeah.
I get all kinds of responses.
So what was the reason for you leaving? If
That's a good question.
I mean,
Um,
all right, coming from my type of Amish, we had it. Um, we were so restricted that I would always think, well, if I could just live like the old order Amish, I would be happy. Or if I could just um, be one of them, I wouldn't want to leave, or I would, it would have been easier. So, and some of the old order Amish, I know that they do believe in being born again, or they do believe in, um, in the Lord, and don't put their trust in works. So, what was your motive to leave that?
yeah, so that's true. I actually love my life. Like I was, I could not go back now because of the rules even. But at the time, like I didn't mind the rules that much. I mean, yeah, there were some things that I thought were just stupid, and I thought we made too many, big issue out of nothing. But it was just completely God. Like it was very random. At first, I was biking on the road and I heard just an audible voice speaking to me. And I remember looking around and well, there was no one around, but it was God just telling me about leaving. And that was like so, woo, like so out in the blue. It took several years for me to really process that and know, is that really God? Is that what I want? Do I want that? Um, I knew I wouldn't have the support. I had a lot of health issues, and where I couldn't work. Um, it was just a long process in finding, but I couldn't shoo it away. Like it was one of those things where if I wouldn't worry about it, it would always come back. And it was just gently. It was just deep inside. But I couldn't push it away. And so the only way to move forward for me was just to pray about it and ask God. And I remember just praying, okay, if this is what you want, help me to get to know someone, non-Amish or something that I something that I know. And
Mm-hmm.
by step, he opened doors, and it was just when I finally left, there was just so much peace, so much peace. And now, the freedom that comes with it, and the peace, and the fellowship, and the like-mindedness, and is beyond beyond anything else.
Yeah. So, when you say the freedom that comes with it, for leaving, would you say that you were not free in the Amish? How would you describe freedom in Amish?
I would say I have a lot more freedom to think for myself. Like when I was always one to ask, why do we do this? Why do we do that? And I had some people gave me answers, and then I got people, my parents would sometimes say, I don't know, and I appreciated that. But that didn't satisfy me, and
Right.
so I think just being able to think for myself, like I can think for myself and make choices by myself. I don't have to think, well, I'll just push it away because it's within not within our church standards. And just being able to not worry about exactly how we'll dress and all those little things. Like I can focus on things that are important.
Yeah. Yep. I understand that. And were you like, also like, if you didn't dress exactly the way they wanted you to, did they um, say something to you, or like, if your dress wasn't the length that it should have been, were you, um, did you ever have to confess in church for anything that you didn't do exactly by the rules?
So I didn't know. I can only actually remember one time, one person confessing something in all those years that I was a member, and it was for something actually wrong. But no, I don't think I was one that I felt if I'm gonna be a member, I'm gonna stick with those rules, and if I can't get those rules, I'm out. I'm not gonna like push them. But as far as say, how long our dress was, I mean, some of them are almost knee short for some people, and some of them are floor length. So it's not. They always said, just nice lengths. They didn't really say how long. And as far as most of the things, you had to go really, really far out of the order before anyone said anything. So it wasn't. I didn't
So
really have a problem with that too much. And I would say
yeah.
in general, like the rules aren't black and white. I mean, they have much more general, like, not too bright dresses and not too, see through thin. But how bright is too bright? Some wore neon colors and it was okay. So,
Yeah, I'd say you had a lot more freedom in that aspect. You had a lot more freedom than what I did. Um,
yeah,
but
here, like, exactly, your pleats have to be exactly so and so, where you're covering pleats or the length of the dress, or, oh, that makes me tired.
yeah,
Yeah, we didn't have that.
yeah. So were you single when you left? You had nobody to leave with you, like
Right. I was single and I'm still single, but yeah, um I was left by myself.
okay, wow. That is that is really hard to. I mean, I was married when I left, so I would think. I mean, I keep thinking might have never left if I didn't have one to kind of coach me through it or help me through with it. But then again, I don't know. God has his plans and ways, and but I do know like younger Amish girls that leave. They really need someone to help them get started because it is a whole new world um, to get started in if you leave. And I'm always so proud of anyone that decides to make that decision. And especially when it's for the Lord, like the Lord is making them that way. Now, I know that in the sports and Amish, sometimes girls don't understand. I mean, they just want to get away, they want to be free. So they leave and then they find the Lord and their life changes that way.
That's like a whole different step when they leave first and then they find the Lord and then try and connect with family again or something. Where yeah, I found the Lord and my most of my family are born again Christians. So um I left alone and it was hard. It wasn't, I mean, I often thought it would be easier to go with someone, but um I also had, by that time I was 21, so I wasn't like 19, 16 or something like that. But I God answered my prayer. I got to know non-Amish people before I left. So that was
Oh,
very, very helpful.
so
I could, communicate with other non-Amish in the process.
yeah, so you had someone that kind of helped you get started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm gonna answer. There's a couple questions for you.
Okay. I'm not
Mm,
sure if I can see them or not.
Paula says, "What was the first few months after you left? What was it like?"
Um, a lot of new things.
And
Um,
she says, "Were you surprised about things living in the on the English site?" So yeah, after you left, what was new for
I
you?
I moved to a non-Amish girl, like just had a roommate with her, and I had never met her in person before I moved, but I knew her mom. So I was good friends with her mom, and her mom was a taxi driver, so I really knew her well. And I think the first months, I mean, within the first week, I remember taking my clothing to my parents. Like a week or two after I moved, and then when I moved, I completely changed all my dress. And so I took my dresses, and I think I had changed my coverings before because I took my clothing to my parents. Um, it was just different. Like I lived in my home, like 3 miles from my parents. I was like in my home church area still. Um, it was a weird feeling. Like I thought of it so often. Like I started thinking, what do I actually believe? What do I? And I went to the Bible. Instead of thinking, well, this is what the church says, and if I'm going to get to the Bible, then I'm just going to get frustrated. I know I searched the Bible a lot for answers because all of a sudden I just felt free to find my own answers. And um, I had a lot of health issues where I couldn't work for a long, long time, a few years after I left. And so um, I was also looking for medical answers in that process. I had just found a cyst in my brain, so there was a lot of doctor's visits and MRIs and numerous doctor's visits. Um, I didn't know what to expect from my family. Like there was a lot of unknown. I didn't know were they going to make a difference? Couldn't I come home? I mean, I had heard all these things, but what was my family going to do? And I was the first one from our family to leave, and so, and even from my relatives, like all my cousins are Amish, aunts, uncles, and so I just had no idea.
Yeah.
I would say there was just a lot of new things. I mean, it was just I was just starved and just hungry for the Word of God, um, and and it was with all the medical things involved. I wouldn't say it was really that hard until like half year after I got left the Amish, I got excommunicated. So that was kind of up until then. My family, I went home every week. I was there for the night sometimes. We ate like usual. I mean, there was no difference.
Hmm.
So those first months, it was just like I remember there were just so many new things and unknowns, and trying to figure out like part of the question there was what was the last part about the non
Uh,
being.
Boy, I'm not even sure anymore. I see another one. She asked, how long between your first thought of leaving by the time you actually left? Which I don't know if you remember that or not.
I think the first time that was literally that voice that I heard. Like I hadn't really considered it before that, and I would say it was probably between 5 and 6 years from that until I actually left. Something
Okay.
around that.
Okay. And the other question that there was, what were you surprised about in the English on the English side of life? Like, you know, when I left, for an example, I wasn't used to washer and dryer and hardly knew how to use it. And didn't I thought, for one load of laundry, you go through water every load, and I'm thinking that's a lot of waste of water. Like we would do, the wringer washer, we would wash like quite a few loads with 1 tub of water. And so for me, that was a big surprise. That was like huge for me to accept it that I'm wasting all this water, thinking I'm wasting it. And I didn't want to use the dryer because I would be using electricity that I thought, well, it'll run electric bill up, so why wouldn't I just hang my clothes out? And I didn't have a clothesline at the time. We had just moved to the place, and then I went to my Amish neighbors to hang up my laundry. I would like wash it in the washer till it was all done, and I would take it over to the neighbors and hang it up. That's where I was when I first left. Like that's I don't know. What was your surprise?
That's a that's a good one. I never thought of that really, but I knew how to use washers and dryers before.
I figured you probably were
Yeah,
familiar
yeah,
with those.
it worked for me where they had a washer and a dryer.
You have to come up with something else that was surprising to you.
I'm trying to think like things like that. I knew I was surprised at how people assume things. Like, people assume, hey, you were Amish, and they just assumed all these things, and it was often wrong, and I felt misunderstood. I was a little hurt by that. But as far as like the material things or just like the culture, and I think one thing I was really shocked by is how people just run all over the place with their car. Like if you go to town and we go to the food, we had a grocery list. Once a week we got all our groceries. And I was just surprised how people just, go to town a few times a week or hey, I need something and run to to town for one or two products. And that is something I continue to do. I don't do run up, go all the time, and I think that's just a habit or something you can adjust to whatever you like. Um, yeah, other things I would say for a big part, I was almost surprised that there weren't more things that I didn't know. Like I figured there would be much more new things, um, and there weren't like in that way. I can't really think of anything just now, right offhand, um, that I was just really surprised with.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand because I mean, I haul older Amish people. I do taxi work for them, and I see that. I mean, they have gas refrigerators, they have gas stoves, and indoor plumbing, and it's so different. Like for me, we would have had outhouses, and we didn't have those things that you can run with electricity, and so you kind of had that experience where there probably wasn't much new things other than driver's license, like you're driving and
And I don't drive yet, actually.
you don't. Do you want to?
So yes, I definitely want to, and I'm hoping within the next few years. So with my health, I wasn't able to have a job, so I wasn't able to support myself financially. So I was just happy to have a home, and there's also some coordination with the system, my brain, a lot of those kinds of things that I need to work with. And at this point, I am supporting myself financially. I have a part-time job and I have home, but I'm just not at a place to buy a car yet. So yeah, that will be very very nice, and I'm very excited for that.
Yes, that'll be a very big step for you then. Like, I mean, now that you're out for that long, yeah, you're ready for your license, I'm sure.
I
That would be. Do you have someone that is able to take you places, or
Yeah,
you don't?
I live really close to church, so I can bike over, but I also have people like a lot of friends and even the places I work for. Transportation isn't a problem at all, not at all. But I will miss driving with people. Like I get so used to hanging out with friends this way, but at the same time, I also like my independence. So I will miss not driving as much with people once I do drive, but I'm also very excited to drive.
Good. That's another question. Karen asked, do you see your parents anymore? But I mean, you did say that you go home, so. But if you want to talk a little bit more about that,
You broke up a little bit. You said friends? Or
your parents.
yes, I see my family, my parents, and my siblings all the time. Like um, last week, we traveled to Colorado for my grandpa's funeral, and like yeah, I'm with family all the time for Christmas. I help them sell things online, just the online part that they can't do. Um, we call, I call, they call. Yeah.
Hmm. All right. Someone else asked if you joined church. I think she just tuned in. Probably didn't hear what you had said, but yes, Tracy had joined church, so they excommunicated her, and so you would not really be shunned, but you're excommunicated, right? Is that how you?
That's kind of how I try to make it clear, like, because I feel there's a difference. I am excommunicated, but I don't feel I'm shunned. Like, yeah, that's how I.
They don't. Well, see, they don't really keep the shunning. See, I'm the Amish I come from. They will always shun me, like no matter what. Other than if I would go back to them and prove that I'm going to live their lifestyle and put away with all the modern things, and then I could rejoin the church, and then they would not shun me anymore from there on.
To go through like the steps of, would you have to just confess, or would you have to go through the steps of like the baptismal steps in?
Well, I'd I'd have to go through some type of steps. Um, I know that I'd have to like go with the preachers to must see the aberrothese. Like
Yeah, I know what you mean.
after the preachers go off to the side, and then you would have to go with them, and then they would tell you, I don't know what they would tell you, but yeah, there's steps that you would have to take in order to get back in. um
Yeah, I don't know. I know at one point, I don't know. Will like the excommunication ever be taken off or not? We've talked about it, but I don't know.
yeah, well, if you're not really shunned, I mean, see, the church I come from, they excommunicate you if they shun you. Like, it's like a complete, they're basically the same. It's like they cut you off and they shun you. I don't know, but I see your point. Yours is a little bit different. Um, Let me see if I can find more comments. John Hirschberger, you two caught my attention. I can't imagine how hard that decision would be. Okay, that might not be a question. Uh, Question. What does it mean to be excommunicated? Okay, I think you kind of explained that. Oh, the difference. What is the difference between excommunication and shunning is probably what they mean.
Mm. Yeah, so the excommunication is when, so when like half year after I left, they came to my door and talked to me, hoping that I would confess in church that, I'm sorry that I left and whatever, and I would change, and I didn't. And so they voted in church, like they would all go around and say yes. I don't even know exactly what they said, but basically they vote yes to excommunicate me. And so then later he called me and he said that, they voted and everyone agreed and I'm excommunicated. And so that would mean that I can't have communion service with them. Um, then everyone takes it different from there. Some people think they can't eat at the same table as I. Some people think they can't take money from me, or they can't maybe take gifts from me. I think it depends really on different churches exactly what it means, or even different people. So where the shunning comes in is like if they can't, almost can't, you couldn't visit their house, or you can't be there with family things, or they probably wouldn't call, or they probably wouldn't write, or they would kind of stop accepting you as a person almost, right?
Yeah, that's kind of how it works in the Swartz and True Amish. They like I don't hear my Amish family. They would not invite us. They wouldn't invite me to weddings or um, funerals. Is something they would maybe let us know. I guess it also depends, like who. I don't think uncles and aunts like they would necessarily let us know, but like immediate family, I'm sure we would find out somehow. It might not be through them, but somehow we find out. And I don't know, like some of them may not allow us on property. I do have an oldest sister that I've never tried to go to her or property, but my younger brother did, and he left the Amish, and they they had him leave. They said he is not welcome on their property. So I never tried to. Don't know how they would react if that, So it varies too in the Amish whether you're allowed to go to property or not.
Yeah, so that would kind of be the difference. Like shunning would be that, and then the excommunication would be kind of the act of you're no longer allowed to have communion.
Or would you maybe even say excommunicating is like no longer part of our church?
Yeah, yeah, that would be a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see if we have more questions. Eldon asked if your parents shunned you. So when you got excommunicated, did they shun you or not? No.
Oh, they're my parents are they're very very minor things that they don't. I'm trying to think of something. If we eat family style with my immediate family, they're like two or three of my family that don't really like it. We all sit down family style. And then there's some that think that's that can be a little stressful. But say when we're with family, like oftentimes we're enough people where we eat cafeteria anyways, and so that's not an issue. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I can't think of anything.
Yeah. Yep.
You remember
All right.
first year when we exchanged names for Christmas, they did not put my name in. I was not there when they exchanged. That kind of happened. But they all gave me gifts. Like I was still there for the exchange, the day of the exchange, and everyone gave me a gift. I had way more gifts than anyone else.
Oh,
But no,
they wanted.
I exchanged this year again, so that it was just kind of the first year that they didn't.
Uh-huh. Yep. Someone asked me if I'm still married, but I could answer that privately too, but no, I'm not married anymore. I went through a divorce. So,
Hi, Julie.
yeah, I see some of your friends on here too.
I can't
Nice.
see all of the comments, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of hard to read the comments because they kind of go, yeah, you can't see them all at once. But anyway, is there anything else you wanted to bring out or talk about? Um, you're not writing a book, are you? Or
I
what
am.
are you? Awesome. Do you have a title for it? No,
I'll
not yet.
everyone's help for that, I think.
Hey, Facebook is a great Facebook friends are amazing to help with ideas and um I that's where I got my title actually. I asked on Facebook what I should name my book and there were like whew, 200 300 options. But so
Yeah,
I
probably do that when I kind of get more to that place. I started a long time ago, and I haven't worked on it maybe I don't know at least a half year or something.
okay.
I have my fingers in a lot of things, and it's just not a priority right now. But I have written quite a bit, and I'll continue work on it when I can. But I'm also kind of ready to have it done if I kind of get that over with.
I I know what you're saying. I started my second book gosh, it was it's a little over 2 years ago already. I started my second book and then tragedy happened in my family and then I really put it back on the shelf and just kind of just waiting for the right time, I guess. Um, but I'm working on it on the shelves. But I'm working on another book that didn't take as much of my time, and that is the Voices of Hope book, where there's like 14 different ladies writing their story in one book.
Oh,
So that will come out we're looking at April of 2021. So
that's cool.
yeah, there's like 10 of the ladies come from the Amish, and then there's a couple that don't. But I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that's neat. I love that idea, combining different stories.
Yeah, so you don't have none of your sisters or brothers left the Amish then after you did?
One sister did. She is Mennonite. Um, she left soon after I did. She lives in another state now, but yeah, that's really cool. I have one sister that left.
That's cool. My sister that left, she lives well, I have one in Alabama,
Okay.
uh, Mennonite. Then I have one in Kansas that left the Amish.
Yeah,
So
helpful. I can kind of.
it's, yeah, it's nice to have family outside.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I don't know what else is there anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else in particular. I hadn't really thought about it. I thought I'd just see what comes up and let you ask questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was good. Maybe we'll have to do it sometime again.
yeah, sure. I would love to stay updated on your writing, your journey. I know it's a lot. Like just journey. Life is a journey, so you're doing great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You've come
All right.
ways too.
Okay, and I'll let you answer if there's more comments that we didn't touch on or answer. Then if they're for you, then go ahead. After we get off, you can go ahead and answer them. So,
Okay.
all right. Thanks for joining me on here,
Thank
and
you so much for having me.
you're welcome. You guys have a good weekend, rest of the week.
Yes. Have a great week.
All right. Bye.